Hi there, I'm Diane,
I'm Carrie.
and welcome back to Wicked Honest,
Wicked Honest True Crime, episode 7.
episode 7. Here we are.
Here we are.
And we are talking about the 1992 murder of Susan Taraskiewicz, and we're going to still keep talking about that. We're going to talk about it and not stop talking about it until
Right.
hopefully Sue gets justice or we exhaust ourselves into something, because there's a lot to say, and this case is just, this has been an unsolved case for decades, and it needs to be discussed and not just the same old dribble that just keeps coming out about it. There's more to the story, and
Right.
there's people that may know something, and there's people that do know something.
That's right.
There you go, take it away.
All right. So, you want to do your disclaimer?
Oh, we'll do a disclaimer. That's
Yeah.
Carrie's going to give a quick rundown for anyone that's just joining.
I'm going to try to be real quick. I'm going to try to remember all the facts real quick.
Yeah, the more we get into it, the more
more.
that the lengthier it becomes.
Uh-huh.
So just a quick disclaimer, we are not law enforcement. We are doing an investigative amateur reporting here. I'm writing a book on this case. Grew up in Revere, where Sue's body was found. She lived not far from Revere in Saugus, Massachusetts. I have connected with 2 police officers, one that actually worked on the case, that have helped me, and this case has greatly affected us and the community in the North Shore. I think most people, especially in our age, are familiar with this case. The Girl on the Billboard is tentatively the name of my book, because Sue's face was on billboards in Revere.
Yep.
I think only Revere was that one. East Boston.
East Boston.
East Boston.
Yep.
For years, and sort of just looked down on us, forever reminding us that her case is unsolved.
Yep.
So we are not law enforcement. We are not accusing anyone of this crime. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. I have reached out to Mass State Police without a response as of yet,
Several times.
and I would love for them to call me back. Let's talk. But the names that we do mention are in public record. Articles, shows already out there, and lots of names will be changed to protect the identity of people. Even some people that have said I could say their name. I'm making decisions where I might not. The book might be a different story. We'll take it from there. But 10 chapters in, and here we are. We're doing a lot of boots on the ground. We're talking to people. We're doing the work, and it is work. It's a lot. It's work. I usually write creative fiction inspired by actual events. This is narrative nonfiction, and it's sort of, I feel like it's like academic writing.
Yeah.
Oh, because all the facts and
Yeah.
it's like,
I feel like you need to get out in your good old Encyclopedia Britannica.
No, remember like you have to like footnote and cite things. It's like I'm just writing a term paper every day. Thank you very much. I signed up for this.
Yeah.
But this case is, as I've said numerous times, has stuck with me, and I feel like I got connected with this retired Revere police officer, Joe Rizzuti, who is going to be on the show. And it stuck with him too. And we got connected through his family, a part of his family, who's a mutual friend of mine. And the way this all transpired, it felt like this was supposed to happen. So innocent until proven guilty. We are not accusing anyone of this crime. And that's where we're at. So take it away.
We'll be sharing the Mass State Police phone number throughout.
Yeah, that'll pop up on the screen at some point. Please call with any information about this case. Any information you want to share with us, we'd love to hear it.
And if you don't want to call them, if that's not comfortable for you, you can always reach out to us. We're on all the socials. If you're listening to us, you probably already know. We're Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X, sorry. Instagram, Facebook, X. YouTube,
and we're doing this in real time too, as you always say. It's not all nice and neat wrapped up in a bow. So if there's anything we might misspeak, this is lots of information.
Do what?
We have a saying when I misspeak, or when I stutter my words, or you stutter your words, which happens a lot. Aunt Lizzie in Charlestown. Aunt Lizzie in Charlestown, we'll say Aunt Lizzie because we stumble up across our words. And Aunt Lizzie couldn't say Massachusetts well, among other words. Love you, Lizzie. Rest in peace.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take away a quick rundown. Diane's going to jump in with corrections because I have ADHD and I probably don't remember things, even though we talk about them 24/7. So this is the murder of Su Taraskiewicz that we are looking into and reporting on. She was 27 years old. This happened on September 29th of 1992.
September 4th. She went missing 12 into the 13th. They found her on the 14th.
See, this is it.
Carrie's tired.
Yeah. I don't even know where September 29th came from. Anyway, so she went into work. She was working the night shift. Obviously, it turned into the day shift. She left work after she received a call by many reports. She never returned. She was punched out by a coworker. Still always bothers me. And then 30 something hours
Roughly
later, I
30
think,
hours later.
yeah, she's found in the trunk of her own car, parked at an auto body shop off of the highway in Revere. No clue how, why, where, nothing. She's just the person that comes into the auto body shop, finds a car leaking blood out of the back. So we have basically told you that full story, everything about that. And then we went on to some of the things that were going on at the time of this happening, which were a massive credit card ring that was happening at Logan Airport where she worked.
Credit card fraud, credit card being stolen, and
Yep, credit card
Yes.
fraud ring, sorry. And then also she had just joined a new church, the Church of Christ, which we're going to get into tonight a little bit.
yeah,
And then the third thing was she was a female employee in a very male dominant role at her job at the airport as a baggage claims person. And she did file a lot of grievances. And then in turn to that, there was a lot of harassment. And we always said, like, not your average harassment, which is a terrible thing to say because there shouldn't be any, but this was extensive harassment. So those three things were all happening at the same time. Last episode, we dove into her relationships, two mainly of her most recent relationships to her death. We got into that. We talked about that some. And now we're going to dive into the church.
I just want to clarify, baggage crew. Claims is a different part of the airport.
Baggage crew.
So like lift.
I'm just making
very
shit up.
physical lift. No, baggage claims is a place. It's
Okay.
just lifting the bags, humping the bags. I think that they called it. I dated someone who I worked at the airport.
He
which
humped
was-
the bags?
It's well, it's called humping the bags, like a load.
So
Oh
weird.
my God, let's save that for Tuesdays. No, like we're
Like in the bags.
yeah, we're sort of like tossing.
Well,
bags.
I'm going away this weekend. I'm gonna think very strangely of my bag when I get it
Oh,
back.
Jesus.
Okay, anyways, so we're gonna dive into
Edit that.
the Church of Christ. The Church of Christ.
Yeah, and also we have in the comments, please support the show, like and subscribe. It really helps, and we want justice for Sue. Any attention we can get with us. So
Yep.
look in the show notes and reach out to us. Any comments, anything that we could get wrong, or anything
Definitely
you say.
subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You just create an account and a password. It's free. If you're listening to us on a regular basis, just hit the subscribe button. It really helps with getting them into people's algorithms and shining the spotlight on this stuff. If you're not going to do it just for our entertainment, you can do it to spread the word about Sue.
Yeah, and that's what we want.
Yep.
Okay, so the Church of Christ. So we've talked about Sue was very devout in her faith. I'm not entirely sure how she grew up. I've heard Catholic, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure. But
we know that she
had a
had crosses and things like
and
that.
she had, and of note, she had a necklace at the scene that had a cross that an ex-boyfriend gave her. That was a pretty serious relationship with, and then a Snoopy charm on this chain with the cross, and that has never been recovered. So one
Okay, so that was not on her anymore. She had it on. She always wore
always
it,
wore it.
and it was gone.
Yep.
Okay.
And we've talked about that before, but
Yeah.
just reminder. So Sue started getting involved with this other church called the Church of Christ. And the Wall Street Journal later on called this a Christian fundamentalist church. There were about, I think in her group, roughly per witness accounts that I have been privy to
Speak with
and read,
Mm.
that there was about like 15 or so people in this particular group that she was in.
in this, yeah, okay, in this segment of
But
this chapter.
in this, I guess, chapter would be
Yeah.
a good word. But the church had thousands of parishioners, and it was, I know it was national, and at least was in Texas. I do know that because Sue dated, the last relationship she had was with John, who we were previously talking about.
Right, and
And-
he had moved to Texas,
Yes.
and there was a chapter of that same church in Texas.
Yes, there was a chapter of that, and she thought if she ever moved down there, she could stay with some of the girlfriends.
You spoke to him. Do you know if he's still active in the church?
He's not.
Okay.
No. And he doesn't know if it still exists
Okay.
today.
Okay.
But he sounds, And to me, he sounded like a man of faith.
And he didn't have bad things to say about the church or anything like that, right?
No, he did say though that as we discussed.
I don't know if I'm jumping out of order, but
No, he did. He did, as we discussed, say that the church. There was some people that called the church cult-like, and then as this case got brought to light and Sue's murdered,
yeah.
I think that term became more prevalent in this, and he didn't agree with that, as I said, but they wanted you to recruit members, so that's why a lot of people said that. And there was one incident that Sue was dating prior to John, went on a little bit with Fred, who we discussed, that who also belonged to the church. She got him involved in the church, and he was putting up some things in the break room at work.
He was. Okay.
Oh, was it her? I'm sorry.
I thought she was, but I could be
No, I
wrong.
believe it was him. They were both involved with the church, and they were putting up. No, I believe it was him, and I'll have to get back to you on that. That they were putting up to recruit in the break room.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
like postcard type thing.
yeah,
like,
and then Robert Brooks ripped it all down. Who Brooks we have spoken about, and
Yeah.
we will continue to speak about. He's in most
Court,
of the
yeah.
court filings and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a large organization with thousands of members, approximately 4,000 per witness statements. This isn't factual.
Mhm.
And Sue was in a smaller Bible study group with like 10 to 15 people.
Okay.
That's what we know. I did speak of a relationship that she had before Fred that was a long-term relationship. And there was 2 long-term relationships, Mark and Al, that we spoke of. And Al and her had broken up. And one of the reasons per witness
Yeah, I
statements
remember this. Yeah.
through, these are church friends per statements that
Yep.
said this church, as many Christian and Christian beliefs do, and Catholicism and all that. No, what did I call it? Monogamy before? No, it's abstinence.
Yeah.
To abstain from sex before marriage. So she started really
Practicing
this,
Okay.
and I think Al was not happy with
Not
this.
practicing that.
So we talked about Al maybe being
Understandable. I
didn't like
think.
this, wasn't too keen on the church, but per a witness statement that said that's sort of what a little bit of an issue was. Which, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
That's-
especially if you've been together for a long time and you've
Yeah.
already crossed that line.
Oh gosh, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's like pretty
Kind of weird.
That's pretty bold and strong. She was someone clearly of firm belief.
Well, that's fine if that's, but unless that's a decision that's made by both of you in the relationship, that's not.
All it needs to be is made by one.
And clearly,
The other person doesn't have to love it.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we understand, like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Right.
it makes sense. Yeah.
The church. So then, as we talked about prior, that she gets with, she's with Fred, and at the airport, Fred worked at the airport. She gets him involved in the church, and by multiple statements from people at the church, I already said this. People said he liked her more than she liked him.
Mhm.
The church knew that they had been intimate. They would have study groups or get-togethers and things like that, and
Probably
freely
talk.
on-
Yeah.
Or it was sort of like, also, if you confided in someone at the church, I think, like, it seemed to me and I don't want to speculate, but it did appear as though, like, there was some tattletaling to the leader
Mhm.
who gave statements to the police and all of that. So
Mhm.
if it did come, and I think this is also popular in the Mormon church, like, if it does come out that you are having intimate relations or maybe like getting close, what they did was, and I found this interesting, they separated Sue and Fred for a time. So they put them in different study groups.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so this is very different than we were. Even though I was raised Catholic, but this is, I think the Mormons are like this, and a lot of there's a lot of religions like this. So dating, key takeaways of witness accounts that I have read and spoken to, people that I've spoken to, and I've spoken with
From the church.
Yes, 2 people from the church that do not want to be identified. The church obviously influenced Sue's romantic life.
Yeah.
And she ended her relationship with Al because of the church. And dating, they were sort of chaperoning too and things like that. So it was very different than I think what people at the time were going. I don't know. Maybe they had the right idea. I think I needed a chaperone.
In an overhaul.
I could have used a chaperone.
I'm going back to actually abstinence right now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think I could have used a chaperone. I'm not trying to like make light of this, but
No.
really, honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into some friends did say per statements, no one that I had spoken to, but I'm
statement.
privy to a confidential informant that did say some personal information and stuff. We don't need to get into any of that stuff. I found it incredibly interesting after doing a deep dive into the church. So I thought it was a lot of the people in the church. This was a North Shore branch. They didn't have a brick and mortar place where they
So they met in different
they
places.
had hotels, they had conference rooms. If they had like a bigger gathering, they met at people's houses and just did Bible study and things like that.
Yeah.
So Sue obviously got Fred involved in the church.
Right.
There were 2 other Northwest Airlines employees at the church.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I thought that was interesting.
Does you think she recruited them, or do you think they recruited her?
I don't know.
But it would be coincidental that one wasn't
Because
recruited by the
I
other.
asked John if he knew how Sue got involved with the church, and he didn't know. So
how did he get involved with the church? Because she brought Fred, but she didn't bring him.
But he already was involved with the church. He was like I'm not sure.
So he was another employee that worked at the airport.
No, John
didn't work at the
John didn't work.
That's right.
No.
That's right. Okay.
No, Sue met John
Frank
through
worked
the
at the airport.
church.
Yeah. Okay.
Fred worked at the airport.
Fred worked at the airport. Okay.
So right when Sue was always very reliable, always at services on Sunday and stuff. So right when she didn't show up, people were very alarmed.
Yeah.
And they reacted quickly. Calls were going out amongst each other and think, what's going on? And
when you said that Fred went to the service, he got up in the morning after the wedding and went to church.
Because he went to a wedding the night before, and
we discussed this
last
with
you. Yeah, just a reminder.
Yep. But then when he got up the next morning, he went to church. He was a little bit late for church, they said, because.
And from what I was told, his mother said he didn't go to church by accounts, but then he was seen at church. Yes, he was a little bit late.
And was it that church, or was this a different church?
No, that church.
It was that church. Okay.
Oh, that.
Well, when you said
church, I mean, whatever group.
Yeah, when you mentioned
with where they go,
the parents saying that he didn't go to church, I for some reason thought that the mother was at church and he wasn't there. That's what I was thinking. But okay.
Yeah, his parents weren't involved.
Were not involved
that I know of.
Okay.
No, I think from home. Maybe they thought he was home, and
okay.
Yeah, he lived in the loft. He stayed in a loft garage apartment, and the parents had lived in the main house.
Yeah.
One I found interesting too. So now we know Sue and Fred both work for Northwest. Now there's 2 other people that both work for Northwest
that go to the church.
Yeah, and then they were obviously spoken to, and one of them actually said that, by my confidential informant, said that they really thought to look at Joe Ferretra, who we spoke with.
That's a strange. Oh, because they worked at the airport.
They worked at the airport. They knew him, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
but
they
it was
had
someone that was
speculated.
in the church.
Yes.
Also at the airport that named him.
Yeah. That said, maybe look at him, and a lot of people said different things, and throughout this whole case, everyone was looking at the people closest to Sue at the airport because of what was going down with the credit card
and the harassment.
Yeah. And again, Joe Ferretra was never in any way, shape, or form charged or in trouble for any harassment towards Sue.
No.
So we just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
The people at the church after Sue's death, they did say Fred expressed fear, said he felt like a suspect, and he later did stop attending the church.
Oh, wow.
So
I wonder if people started looking at him like maybe he did something or whatever.
I'm sure his life
changed
upside down. Or whatever.
Yeah.
So the church today, I've did some research if it's involved, if it's still active today. There are churches similar like this. I'm not sure if it's the exact same church. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
But as far as the church, there's just a couple of things they did have. They had singles nights and trips and things and all that. And it sounded kind of interesting and all that. But and then we did talk about last episode about a truck. Someone at the church saw Sue get very afraid when a church function, or a man in a white truck pulled up, and Fred had a black truck. Fred had a black truck, and
Fred had a black truck and a motorcycle.
And that, just wanted to make that clear. again. So we don't know who
We
this
haven't
white
found
truck.
out of anyway.
No, and John was very frustrated, as I said in the last episode, about that the Mass State Police were very on this truck, and he talked to them years ago.
Ooh.
I think that they have gotten, I don't know how far they've progressed in. Well, I do know a little bit of how far they progressed in the case. I'm not sure if they're still looking for that. I don't know.
Okay.
But we do know that man in a white truck. So the church, as far as that, it is interesting that there's 4 Northwest Airline employees there.
Yeah.
And this is also very new at the time in her life. So there's a lot going on. So
Yeah.
she's heavily involved in this church.
Yeah.
And
It's like she was trying to make some change.
make some changes
Yeah.
and solid friendships and really relying. And that's hard to do at
Yeah.
a young age. And
27. I mean, I feel like you're starting to
actually, I feel like 27 is when you do maybe start going.
starting to turn that
Yeah,
corner and figure out heading into your 30s.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I thought I was starting to turn a corner, but then it turned another corner.
Yeah.
We'll get into that another time.
We'll get
On
into
Tuesdays.
that on Tuesdays. We just did circles.
So that's where we are with the church, and there's anything more that comes in, and I do have messages out to multiple church members that I have found not getting tons of response here. Hopefully some people, and I'm reaching out a lot on social media and emails and things that I find, and some of these addresses can be old, and then social media, if you're not friends with them, sometimes it takes them a while to get the messenger.
So, in relation to as far as investigative purposes for her murder, there's nothing that's tying the church. There's nothing that seems
No.
weird. I mean, some employees also are part of the church. Also, word of mouth, you kind of think, oh, maybe she found out about the church through those employees. Maybe they found out about it through her. Who
Yeah.
knows? So, excuse me. But there's nothing else that you're like, that's weird, when you're discussing the church. Other than it's like a little bit of a culty mentality when it comes to recruitments and stuff like that. But I don't see I'm not feeling like.
Well, here's the thing with this case, though. Okay, so it's like there's a lot of overlap. So
Yeah.
it's like the airport, then that's overlapping to the church, and that's overlapping to the harassment, and that's overlapping to the credit card. It's like
right.
there's a lot of overlap. So do the deductions and who keeps overlapping. Maybe.
Right. Do you know the 2 people that were at Northwest that were also
I
at
do.
church?
I know their
Other than
I know their
Fred
names.
and her.
Yes. I'm not going to say their names because they're not in public filings. but,
Okay.
and I don't see them in anything.
And you said the police did speak with them.
The police, from what I am told, the police did speak with them. I do not see their names in any other anything else, the credit cards or harassment. So that's interesting. So I do bet, I can't say for sure, but I wonder if someone was recruited, especially someone putting stuff up in the break room and things like that. If that's how Sue got involved or vice versa with those.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like that would be the most common answer. Doesn't mean that that's what happened, but that feels like that.
But then the dating of Fred and the wedding and the close proximity and all of that. Again, the overlapping. So we want to keep looking at that. We're going to talk it through. And if there's anyone and these were close friends and confidants of Sue at the time. So
Yeah.
if anyone's watching has anything to say, we'd love to hear. So we're gonna button up the church with that, because I don't think there's much to say about that.
Yep.
And I did talk last episode that we are going to get into. I want to get into this. A lot of tips that come in, and obviously any murder case.
Yeah.
Obviously to the police, which I'm not privy to their tips, but I do have a confidential informant where I do have speaking and access to tips that have come in through television shows, get tips too. So this case was broadcast on Unsolved Mysteries, America's Most Wanted, and some really interesting tips came in through the show.
Those shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one is a real sticking point that we are going to discuss, and I'm going to save that we are going to have as I keep talking about this, 2 police officers that I am working with, and Officer Joe Rizzuti, retired Revere police officer, on the show. And I can't wait because he's going to help us kind of dissect this and his points on the case, why this affected him so much. He was about Sue's age and knows a lot of the people in this.
Did he work the case?
Joe did not Joe did not work the
Joe
case.
did not work the case.
Sean, the other officer that retired, Mass State Police detective investigator, he worked the case in the beginning.
Okay.
And I do want to discuss really quickly, and I think we'll get into this more detailed later. Sean is not doing well health wise, and this case, and both of these officers, I have to give them the most credit. They don't care about their names being out there. They have tried to pull every resource possible to help to solve this case
Yeah.
and not being directly involved. They have reached out to anything they find out, they turn over. And multiple times I've been told, and they don't need accolades. They want justice for Sue. Point, that is it. And Sean, as I said, worked this case and did something that police usually don't do or not supposed to do.
Mhm.
He's a father, he does have a daughter, and he's older, he's in his late 60s, and he made a promise to Sue's mother that he would not ever give up. And he has not given up. This man
Right.
is, as I said, health is failing, and he just keeps fighting for Sue. It's beautifully tragic.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe this. And I have the utmost respect for both of these guys, honestly. And the world needs more police officers and just people like these guys. They're
Yeah.
honest, I think burned out from the system, but honest people and former police officers. And
Yeah.
and I salute them both. They're amazing.
And we'll probably hopefully maybe have Joe on multiple times or a couple times.
Oh yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Joe. And you're gonna love Joe. Joe is the real deal. Revere all the
I hear
way.
he also has ADD, so this should be fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Joe needs redirection, so don't you?
Yeah.
And but no, Joe is the real of the real. Like no, and talks about everyone like you already
Like you've known them for 10 years,
forever,
yeah.
all that, and you can talk to him all day, and it's the stories he can tell. Oh my God, he should have his own show.
Well, he'll have some of us. And then,
And we also, I'll let you take that one.
oh, if you've been following along with our not true crime, our Tuesday show, we've talked multiple times. I always wear the hat. I don't have it with me, but the JFK hat. And we've talked about.
He's
it
a
multiple times.
YouTuber.
He's a YouTuber. He's actually a music producer.
Yeah, he's the CEO of Show Off Records. Worked with some pretty amazing talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
In hip hop.
Yeah, in the hip hop community.
North Shore guy, about our age, from Lynn, Massachusetts.
Yeah, we relate.
Straight shooter.
Yeah, we relate a lot to what he's about, and tries to really be positive. And actually, JFK is just for kids. That's just for the kids. That's what That's what it stands for, right?
Well, yeah, because he was a troubled youth, a troubled guy when he was young, and
Yeah,
got
in
caught
and out
up in
of
the
the
system,
system.
DSS.
Yeah.
So he has a lot to say about DSS, which is really fascinating. He has some great YouTube
Streams.
small docu-series.
Yeah.
Little about
Yeah.
DSS.
So
and
check out JFK. Give him a sub. A follower, but he has actually been doing, we had mentioned again, and this is where I beat chronological order into you guys with watching the shows, but we had mentioned early on the Eddie O'Brien case. He's really diving deep into that, really making some good discoveries with that.
If you don't know about that, check out that channel. It was also called the Altar Boy case back in, what year was that? Was that the early 90s?
It was the
too?
90s,
Early
yeah.
90s too.
Yeah.
Somerville, Massachusetts, Altar Boy, Irish Catholic, Somerville Police retired Somerville Police Chief's grandson,
Yeah.
who was convicted of killing Janet Downey.
Yeah, we talked about it on our
Little bit,
Tuesday
yeah.
show a little bit, and maybe we can talk about that with him, and maybe he'll come
It's
back
a
on couple
fascinating
times.
case, and the
Yeah.
politics behind it at the time, and we're seeing this now, and bringing up these cases. Is her and I were very involved with Karen Reed and JFK. That's how we kind of really got into him. He very involved with the Karen Reed trial, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. If not, I can't even help you there.
Yeah.
It's so lengthy.
Yeah.
It's the craziness. If you haven't heard of it, you're living under a rock.
Yeah, exactly.
But JFK did a great job with Eddie O'Brien. Still, when anything new is coming up, he's still
Yeah.
covering that.
Yeah,
But
because
he's
it's still-
also
it's
touched
trying
on
to get
Sue.
Yeah,
He's been
Yeah.
touching on Sue's case and bringing that to light. Did a little boots on the ground himself and
did a little tour around where,
the scenes
yeah.
that we're talking about, and we're gonna do that too.
Yeah, we're gonna also do that. But so we're gonna collab with him We don't know. We're not exactly sure. We're waiting to deal. He was traveling the last time we talked.
I was traveling and he was traveling.
Now I'm going to be
I'm
traveling,
traveling.
but we're going to collab with him. Whether we'll do it on here and stream it or do it on his and stream it to whatever. It'll appear on one of the days that we normally.
You're gonna love it, see. You're gonna love it. It's North Shore.
I know, and I'm
old school. We'll
actually-
have him put on some music, and we'll be dead serious. Talk about Sue's case.
Yeah, his streams are so long. I almost feel like, because I thought to myself like, okay, so we're gonna be talking about Sue's case with him, obviously, because he's kind quasi covering it, you know what I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
But then there's so much to talk about with JFK, the music and the old school.
No, I feel like we're
How
gonna
do
have
we
to
do
like
it?
split this show and then put some onto our other show.
That's what I think. He does 5-6 hour streams. I think we need to do a true crime portion
the
of the
stamina, JFK.
I know, and he does it at night too. He signs at 2 a.m.
We're in bed. I'm in bed long before he even signs.
I'm working, but so I think what we need to do, and I think we can discuss this with him, is look, we really want to come on and like have fun with you too. Like, so why don't we dive straight into Sue? We'll get that in. We'll get that out of the way. We'll talk about it. We'll really hammer it out.
We can do both. Like,
And then we can jump over and we can actually split it into 2 episodes because
we just keep it going and keep it an
we just keep a 5 hour
special. An extra special true crime, because like, you know, I mean, let's be honest, you know who we are. Like, we're this case, we're dead serious, no joke, book, working it, boots on the ground. This is very serious, and we know that, but we're also who we are.
Yeah,
we're sort of nutty, have a lot of life experience. North Shore, what do we say? Wacky Tuesdays, whatever. We're kind of like,
so
maybe
we just do a special, or
no
whatever.
bullshit. We can. You guys get it. Like, we'll just roll with it.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens.
I'm really excited for that. I'm so excited. I want to dance with the Kevy Kev. You'll see what I mean.
They're cool guys.
Yeah, they're really
the guys that come on, and they're cool guys.
You'll enjoy the music too if you're close to our age, because they love to.
But we can do a little bit, and as long as we bring attention to Sue in this case.
That's right.
Anytime there's attention coming, like, that's great. And
anytime there's attention coming to anything positive, even just JFK's brand with, being so much in it for the kids, with the
kids and Eddie O'Brien, Karen, whatever anyone's bringing to light any type of injustices, miscarriages of justices, cold cases, DS travesties against children, or things like that.
I'd love to explore more of that stuff as time goes on too, maybe with him or whatever. So that's really exciting. So we're gonna have Joe on. We're gonna collab with JFK and Kevy Kev, and
hopefully these are both coming soon. We're planning this way.
I'm also just throwing Kevy Kev in there because I'm hoping that he comes on. But Kevy Kev is kind of one of the co-hosts on the JFK show. And
did you want to slow dance?
He didn't promise us that Kevy Kev was going to be here, but I just don't see how we do it without him. I don't see how we dance without Kevy Kev.
No, and everyone needs dancing, no matter, even in the darkest times of your life, the darkest tragedies we can speak of, and just we can still dance.
That's right.
That's life, right? You know?
So we have some exciting stuff coming up. So we're going to leave the next episode up in the air because we're not sure with scheduling times who's going to come on when and what we're going to do. But it will either be us and past Joe and past JFK. What are we going to dive into next if we're not collabing with them? So
we want to get into the tips, and I'm sure, Joe, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we got to get in. The credit card ring is going to be a lot. And Joe's definitely going to come back for that too. And we also have a real interesting psychic.
Oh, psychic.
Not live coming on. If we can get one, that'd be good. But no, this is a report from back in the day that was real interesting.
That's like a forensic psychic, like that the cops used, or this is just a random?
This is gonna hush hush.
We'll
let you know.
It's not gonna tell me.
We'll let you know, but it's pretty wild.
Okay.
So we're gonna get into that.
You know what I wanted to bring up to you that we forgot to dive into with Richard, so I'd like to also have him back on at some point.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's gonna come back on and do USA versus Robert Brooks.
Yes, yes.
That too. We have a lot.
But I'd also we didn't dive into enough the legal sides of getting a reward. we talked in depth about it.
It's an understand, like the legal.
As
no,
far
we
as like,
did.
what about even with the tips and stuff? Like, is there legalities to that and stuff? Or
He's not a reward expert. He spoke of.
Richard, you're not a reward expert. Jeez, what do we?
No, he spoke
Gotta
of what
find someone else.
he spoke. You're fired. He spoke of what he would advise his clients.
Oh, right,
coming
that's
forward
right,
and
right.
all of that
Okay,
stuff.
okay.
That's his job as a lawyer. Not, hey, how do I get my reward? Like, he's
Yeah,
just,
I want to find out if there needs to be a conviction for that reward.
yeah, we can.
We're gonna look it
we
up.
can look into that,
Yeah,
but I'm sure
I'm like-
there has to be always, I think, an arrest or a
Or an
conviction.
indictment. Yeah, we need to look that up and clarify because
Yeah, we'll
that's
clarify
important.
that, especially because we want you guys to know if you know anything to talk.
That's what I mean. I want to clarify.
Spread the word.
Mhm.
So
Now-
usually it is an arrest. I think most rewards. I always say award, Lizzie. Arrest or conviction.
Yeah. Okay.
It's from what my knowledge of the cases, the true crime I've gone into all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So
The last reward she got. The last award
the
she
last
got.
award I
Last
got,
award
yeah.
Lizzie got. She had to get a conviction.
All right, God help.
All right, we're gonna
God
wrap
help
this
us
up.
all.
Lots of exciting stuff coming up.
So much
Please tune
exciting
in,
stuff. Please comment, like, subscribe, support the show in the show
Share it,
notes.
send it to your friends. Anything you can do to get the word out there.
Susan Taraskiewicz deserves justice. Over 30 years, cold case. We can do better than this, North Shore. We can do better than this, Massachusetts. Let's do it.
Cheers to Sue.
Cheers to Sue and staying alive.
Staying alive. We'll see you next week.
Peace.